Welcome to all the Divine Atma Jyotis. We are contemplating on the day one talk of Shri Prabhuji on Aparoksha Anubhuti based on some of the questions that we have identified. Today, let us listen to Arjunji on his views on these questions. Arjunji.
Yeah. So the first question is, what is Aparoksha Anubhuti? What is the purpose and why it should be studied? This Vedantic scripture. So, in my opinion, I've listened to the day one talk of Prabhuji. So I'll be referring to that because I made some notes and all. Is it okay? Can I do that?
Absolutely. Whichever way, if you want to project something onto the screen, you can do that also.
There's nothing like that, but just I would like to refer to that while I'm speaking.
Sure.
So, Aparoksha Anubhuti is the direct recognition of the direct experience of self, or the self-realization as such. Now, when we say experience, it is not an experience as such because English is a very poor translator of what has been said. It is more than experience. It is the understanding of what is and what is not, and that understanding of what is, uh, which is neither through pratyaksha, that is nothing but aksha means to see or to like the eyes, and when you see, you are not seeing with the eyes or the sensory or elements, because there's a very nice way of distinguishing that the senses and the eyes may not reveal what is the truth actually. The reason is there are three things which happens when the senses and the eyes. It is known. The first one is known as generalization. The moment I see something, I generalize and say this is it. Now, generalization can also be like, if I see God as a lingam, I can always say everything I see as lingam is only God. That's a generalization. Or for somebody, it could be Vishnu. Vishnu. If they see Vishnu, they'll say generalize and say everything should appear as Vishnu, as in the form of Vishnu, the way it's in Tirupati or the way it's in way God means it should be in this form only. So that's a generalization. And there's one more thing which is known as deletion. Deletion is nothing but I delete the information which does not suit me or suit my way of thinking. And I delete that and say this is something which is, because this is, even though it appears, for example, uh, God appears to us in various forms, in my opinion. They can appear as various forms to us, and they may come to us in various forms. But my mind deletes that information, and it only wants to see God in the form of Krishna, which is decked with all the golden crown and the flute and the peacock feather. Now, that is what I always feel God is. Now, I delete the information other than that, everything which appears to me. For the God can appear in the form of any form. For example, today, the person who helps my in house, the maid servant, for me is a form of God, because she has come in my life where I am really supported so well that I am able to focus on so many other things which I can be focused. So she also is a form of God for me, even though she doesn't come with any paraphernalia of what we have seen as God as. And distortion is that which distorts me from, like it distorts me and say the image is distorted and say this is not something which I am looking for. This is not. So it's mind completely distorts. That means like mind agitates, distorts, and say this is not something which I would like to accept as God or a reality. Distortion can also be like an information which is comes. For example, long time back, it happened so that my mother and my brother and sister, they met with an accident. When they met with an accident, like it happened that I got an information they met with an accident. Immediately, I told in the house that my mother is no more. It was an intuitive reaction rather than information coming. Then the mind started distorting, saying that no, everything will be all right. You don't have to worry. It's just it would be a mere small accident, and you got information. Let's go and check it out and all. But when I went there, actually my mother was no more, and she had died immediately in the accident. So my mind started distorting because I do not want to accept the reality, and because reality can be too confronting, and my mind started distorting the information. So these are the three things which comes from a science called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP: generalization, distortion, and deletion. And because of this, what I see may not be truth, may not be real. You know. So many times you can say mango is sweet. Mango is sweet only when it's ripe, but doesn't mean mango is sweet always. Okay. So this is one thing, and the next one is pratyaksha is one thing, and other is paroksha, that is given by somebody else, the experience given. So even that is not something which can be taken as at the face value, because until unless I know what is experienced myself, then it becomes very difficult to even recognize the fact that may be the truth. You know. And sometimes we may also look at that what that person is saying, we may not hold on. We may hold on to if that person is showing the moon, we will not see the moon, we only see its finger and see that as the reality. So that is the paroksha. And aparoksha is the direct understanding of what is, and that intuitive experience of them ourselves, or the Brahman or Ekatva, is the Aparoksha thing. Anubhuti is nothing but the experience part of it. So this is my understanding of Aparoksha.
Excellent.
Anubhuti.
Now here, again, maybe it's the limitation of our language, but when you say Anubhuti amounts to experience, where and who is experiencing? Is someone experiencing?
Now here, experience is again like it is the understanding rather than the experience.
Okay,
Now,
then
who
the
is
question becomes
understanding?
who is understand? Yeah, good.
Who is understanding becomes the next question. Like
Yeah.
who is that person who is understanding? The understanding is again like it's not understanding, it's removing the cloud. The cloud which is there in front of me gets removed. Now, who is that me? Is the sun which is shining through, which cannot be explained, which cannot be experienced, which is not experiencer. The only the removal of the crowd, which was a wrong perception, is the one. For example, removal of crowd, that cloud, the fact is something like I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. That removal is the one. For example, I recently saw the Matrix movie and the Vedanta comparison. It was so beautiful, where the very fact that we are all caught up in this Maya, or with this in this whole illusion, not is but illusion. The illusion is the reality. What needs to be removed is the fact that I need to remove that illusion, so that that recognizes who really I am. The removal of the illusion is the key factor here, in my opinion.
Excellent. So, though it is said as Anubhuti, is not in the sense of sensory experience.
Yeah.
However, like the Mauna Vyakya example we gave, when the mind is silent, there is full moon that is clearly seen in the mind, in the reflected water. In the water, the mind's reflection or the moon's reflection is clearly seen. But the reflection is not the moon. However, the reflection is seen clearly. So, yeah, in that sense, then there is no difference. So the moon and the reflection are seen clearly, but the recognition is not with the reflection anymore. Attachment is not with the reflection anymore. There is deep inner clarity that it is the moon that is reflected here.
Absolutely, sir. No.
Yeah. Please continue, sir.
So, is my understanding okay with the Aparoksha Anubhuti? Like, have I understood it in the way it's been understood?
Wonderful. Any one of you have any questions for Arjun sir on what he has explained and how he has explained?
No, sir.
Very well stated, Arjun sir.
Thank you.
Especially the way you blended the NLP aspects. Very nice.
So the purpose is actually I am realizing the purpose when I went through the first day and also when I was looking at the first video of the group. The purpose is the fact that to give the distinct clarity of what is. And that is the key purpose for in this whole process. And I've been experiencing so beautifully in the last few months that I'm able to get the clarity and clear view of the whole thing, everything, and the peace. Purpose is to generate the peace and clarity. And that is happening in me as such in the last couple of months. And this has added to that. That I feel is the key purpose.
Excellent. Can we probe that point that you made? To generate peace. Okay, can you kind of deep dive into that aspect? What do you generation of peace?
Generation of peace is okay. There's this wonderful book called A Thousand Suns by Dominic Lepar. Now, what is Thousand Suns? Now, Dominic Lepar is standing in a Chennai bus stop and he's wanting to know what could be the title of the book. And he sees in the other side of there's one more bus shelter. On that bus shelter, there's one thing which is written, beyond the clouds, there are 1,000 suns. And you don't have to generate the sun. You have to remove the cloud. So here generating peace is not, you don't generate the peace, you remove the cloud which is there in front of you, which is causing all the peace to be disturbed. Peace was always existing. The only thing is I could not recognize because the cloud called Maya was in front of me, and the cloud called Maya was nothing but my body, mind, and intellect association. So whenever I remove that body, mind, and intellect association, the peace is there. And I don't generate it. What is there, and I recognize that is.
Excellent. Wonderful. Yeah.
And next thing is, why should we study this Vedantic scripture? Again, as I already said, that to remove that body, mind, and intellect association, and also the duality factor, which I recognize as something which is the reality, the subject and object association. So that is something which gets when the deeper I go, the more I know that the oneness or the Advaita or the subject and object are not two separate things; they are one and the same. So I need to know that much more in deeper reality, and that is something which I need to have is a lived experience, and that's the reason, like Prabhuji says so nicely, that you cannot get that like this. You need to see that you get qualified in this whole thing. And the mind becomes so peaceful, so tranquil, and that's when you can have this kind of knowledge or this kind of understanding and this kind of experience. And this group, I feel that will support me in that cause, and we need to study the Vedic scripture. I know, like the 6 pillars what Prabhuji had given long time back of ancient wisdom. That is Sadguru, Satsanga, then Shravana, Sadguru,
Sadguru Seva Satsanga.
No, Sadguru, Satsanga, Then Sat Shastra, Shravana, sorry, I'm telling in my way of understanding.
Sure. Please. Yeah.
Sadguru, Satsanga, then Sat Shastra, Shravana, Seva, Sharanagati. I think this group will give me that kind of environment And that's the reason why you need to study Vedanta scripture in a group.
Excellent. Very well summed up, Arjunji. Does anyone have any question or any clarification, anything more to add on the first question?
No, sir.
Very nice. Yes, Arjunji, then you can continue.
So the next thing is what are the qualifications? You know, so the qualification here is to quieten the mind, and the more the mind gets quietened or the noise is removed, the chitta shuddhi happens, the more better the occurrence which happened, what we talked about, it occurs rather than I am doing something. And like the way you showed the bottle experience, the bottle shaking and all, my qualification is how do I stop the shaking of the bottle so that the more that happens, the more the tranquility exists, and the tranquility occurs. And for that, Prabhuji also had shared about the seva part of it. You know, so that is one of the chitta shuddhi, doing the seva. That is the qualification, and the qualification, this thing is like to stop shaking the bottle from an analogy point of view.
Excellent.
The way I see its qualification is,
Sorry, Shravanji.
yeah, the way I see qualification is like if a student is coming for a course, right? We say he should be qualified with so and so to be able to get through the-
Eligibility. You can say eligibility part of it.
So here, what is that qualification that is expected out of the seeker to understand the Vedanta?
Okay. One of the qualifications, in my opinion, here is to see that okay, there's a term called Shoshin. In it's a Japanese term. Shoshin means a beginner's mindset. A beginner's mindset is to see with as a kind of Palam I might have heard long time back. But if I come with an fact, if I come with something like I know, then nothing can be given to me. So one of the key factor is I have to keep aside the more I keep this aside, that I am the karta, I am the bhokta, and I am the jnata, and look at from that I am not the karta, I am not the bhokta, I am not the jnata, or I am not the one who knows everything. There's still further to be known a lot of things, and that surrender to and the trust is something which becomes a qualification for me to get into that domain where I can get the best or I can get the actual true essence of what is. That's what is my understanding, Saranji.
Do you mean curiosity to know?
It could be curiosity, or more than curiosity is just like being in the trust and being in the domain of like there's yet further to know so many things which I may not be knowing. So let me just not get into this thought that I know, so I will not listen to this. I do not have to have a selective listening. That's what I feel is a qualification.
So that okay. So do you see a difference in qualification for learning general the Aparavidya or general subjects like physics, math versus the qualification for learning Paravidya, Vedanta? Because both sides you can say that I am curious to know. I want to know.
Yeah. In that there's a nice way of exploring and giving me a lot of thoughts to explore. So in that one, what happens? I have to prove what I know to get qualified. Here I have to drop what I know to be qualified.
But you already said you are coming here to know. That means you are ready that you there is something you feel you don't know, you want to know. Right?
Or more than something I don't know, I would like to seek what is that which will help me to realize what is. And
Why do
now,
you want to realize?
what is? Yeah, because I have not got what I want in life to what all I know. Does not help me to realize what is to be led as a very like a peaceful life, a life of tranquility.
Okay, so now this points towards what is the intent with which I'm coming. The intention is I want peace.
I want peace. I want tranquility. I want yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, so if you go through it here, Shankaracharya gives a lot more qualifications.
Hmm.
Yeah, from the as a seeker of Vedanta. Yeah.
Okay, can you just educate me on that?
Yeah, Vijayji. So
Yeah. So your point is very valid, Arjunji. What you said about what is the fundamental qualification. The fundamental qualification that you brought out is, first of all, I need to have that right intent, that I need the peace, and I feel bound and I need to escape from that. There is something higher. So that intense feeling has to be there. And that feeling that I need to listen in order to gain whatever I do not have. That is also important. The right attitude of learning, very important. What Saravananji is specifically mentioning here is, in order to qualify for studying Vedanta, so it is given as sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold qualifications. And the fourfold qualification is Viveka, Vairagya.
Sampatti.
Is this clearly seen?
Yeah.
Viveka, Vairagya, then Shat Sampati and Mumukshatva. So these are the qualifications that the seeker should have developed. So Viveka is essentially discrimination. But discrimination of what? Discrimination of truth from untruth, permanent from impermanent, changing from unchanging. So Atma Anatma Viveka. So one should have developed that. Now, once again, it may sound kind of like, okay, if you have already developed that, then what is that I am going to learn? So in a way, by pointing at the qualifications, Shankaracharya ji is helping us to recognize what is the right Viveka. So it may sound kind of counterintuitive. By saying that, hey, you should have developed the Atma Anatma Viveka. Oh, I don't have it. Okay, then what is Atma Anatma Viveka? One may ask, the student may ask. Then Shankaracharya ji says, oh, Atma means that which doesn't change. Anatma means that which is constantly changing. Oh, apdida. Okay. So then that Viveka starts developing, right? So learning about the fourfold qualifications itself is a way to develop that, if it is not already in my awareness. Then what is Vairagya? Vairagya is non-attachment or detachment towards any changing aspect. So it comes naturally as an outcome of right Viveka. When the right Viveka is there, Vairagya is natural. It doesn't have to be practiced as such. So right Viveka leads to right Vairagya in that sense. Then there are Shat Sampati. So in the Tattvaboda, Prabhuji has given a detailed talk about Shat Sampati. However, what are the Shat Sampati? Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana. So sense control, mind control is Shama and Dama. Then Uparati is attachment to higher truths or wanting to know higher truths, Uparati. Then faith, Shraddha. Shraddha in the words of the Sadguru and the scripture. Ultimately, it is the Sadguru and scripture that we are using to navigate. So the Shraddha means not a blind faith, but the faith that I may not know something, let me realize it. So it is not against questioning, but it is essentially faith that comes based on a deeper conviction that, like how a mother loves a child, the child has a faith on the mother. Okay, come what may, my mother always gives me the best. I like how when a child, the father is throwing the child up and catching that game, the child has total faith that my father will catch me. So it is in that sense, it is said, faith, Shraddha. However, Shraddha, as you contemplate deeper and as the words of the Sadguru and the words of the scripture becomes more and more deeply stable within you, that faith is, it is natural, that Shraddha is natural. So initially Shraddha may begin as a, okay, here is someone like in your own case, somebody told that, Prabhuji has never gotten angry. And you wanted to kind of test it initially. There was a kind of a, okay, so is that really true? But as you tested once or twice, as it became evident, it is true, right? So, but never you said, okay, this is all nonsense, they must be lying, and you did not walk out. So it may began with a kind of a little bit of a questioning, but there is as you go deeper, it becomes evident, right? So that is Shraddha. Samadhana, Samadhi, Dhi means intellect. So there is tranquility. So tranquility comes out of what? Tranquility comes out of accepting both the pluses and the minuses of the life. So Titikshatva and Samadhana, they are very related. So Titikshatva means what? It is like the Bevu Bella. So life offers you both sweet and bitter, success and failure. So the ability to accept both, the humbleness or the humility to accept both with open heart is Titikshatva. And Samadhana is, so the mind is tranquil. So
Also,
yeah.
say focus on the learning.
Yeah, so that is Uparati. So Uparati means
staying focused on
so when the mind is calm, so naturally, what is the right seeking? So that will be naturally there. So these are the Shat Sampatis. Then in such a mind, Mumukshatva. So a desire for knowing the higher truth. The intense longing for realizing the higher truth. When that is developed, that is the kind of like the stage or preparedness that Shankaracharya is referring to as qualifications here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So these four are not just qualification, but they are an ongoing process.
Absolutely. It's not like I've written the exam and I've got the marks card and that's it. Okay, now I can go to the next course. It is not in that sense. It's a
every day this qualification is needed as we wake up. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's a step back. Yeah.
So initially it is like a very active process of practice, but as it is applied and as it is becoming a habit, then it becomes natural. Like how the cycle example that Prabhuji keeps giving, no? Initially there's a lot of conscious effort to cycle, but eventually it becomes natural.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
guess
thank you.
those days maybe the disciples went through a strict process to get closer to the Guru, okay, and see like how the vairagya is there to know.
It is said that usually Vedanta Jnana was not available in for householders. So to get the Vedanta Jnana, one had to go give up and go to and seek the right Guru. Typically, Himalayas, right? So that is how Vedanta kind of became kind of equated in the cultural setup as giving up everything, right? And now they're at the final stage. And it is said that typically in the Guru's ashrama, when somebody comes seeking for Vedanta, there's a intense test that the Guru gives. And it is said that usually it's about 12 years of seva. 12 years of seva, tapas, 12 years of tapas. See, there is a biological reason also.
Evolution
Our
happens.
body, right? What is our body? Body is nothing but information. What information? Whatever the information that you've received from the world, it has got digested into your cellular system. Right? So the impressions are deeply impregnated. And those trigger. So different ways they trigger. So it's usually once every 7 years that this entire thing replenishes.
So we have to complete 7 years.
So in that sense, right? And roughly about two such cycles, 12 years tapas, right? That's what is said. 12 years tapas is what qualifies one. Mind has to be really tranquil. Then what the Sadguru says, it is immediately grasped.
Okay. So
Because
that 12 years only
ultimate
became
liberation is, like Prabhuji says, ultimate liberation is Shravana Matrena. But it is qualified with Shravana Matrena for the one who's qualified.
One who's qualified, okay. So that the 12 years only became our 12 grades in schools.
But that is only to create more impressions.
we took that 12 and
Added more impressions.
Sir, will we need 12 years?
So
you cannot enter college in 12th standard.
So Deepaji, it is all said see, all these are reference to context. Okay, so none of these should be taken without reference to context. Meaning what? So for example, when someone is in the first grade and they ask what is quantum physics, then the teacher may say, okay, please pass this particular exam which is going to come in the 5th grade. Then I may guide you to the next stage, right? So like that, the answer given there is reference to context of the first grade question. Now, let's say somebody is already a PhD student, and the PhD student goes to the professor and asks, so what is quantum mechanics? What are quantas? Then the professor may give a simple 1 or 2 sentences, and the PhD student may say, yeah, I got it. Okay, that is clear. Okay. So therefore, the question, with reference to the question, always the answers are. So please do not get into the impression that, oh, it is 12 years, which means that you are accepting some kind of a thinking that, okay, I am in the grade 1. Again, I'm not saying that, neither am I saying you are in grade 1, nor am I saying that you are not in grade 1. All I'm saying is, it fundamentally resolves to you. So therefore, how do you know that, what stage you are in? Nobody else can tell you, and nobody else needs to tell you. So the fold or the intensity of your peace and the intensity of your agitation is a simple recognition, is a simple way of measuring. During the day, most often am I agitated and am I tense and am I getting irritated, or most often am I feeling peaceful? So which means that the evolution is at a higher level. Now, can anybody else answer? So can somebody go and give a certificate to Prabhuji that, okay, now you are Sadguru. Now, therefore, hereby we recognize Prabhuji as Sadguru. No. It is a recognition by you when, now, how, that is the path you are in. By simply recognizing. So it is not that one day I will recognize. So that recognition can happen here because it has to happen here and now only. Because it cannot happen sometime else. So the sometime else is a imagination. Somebody giving you a goal. You keep traveling in this path, you will reach Mysore. It's a goal. Whereas the recognition is here and now.
I think the question is why that time they had 12 years and now we are promoted to the stage where like you can get it now. Those days they had 12 years.
I think
Yeah, go ahead, Arjunji.
see something like this in my opinion, Saranji. There was a time when we had to transfer some data in
Yeah.
it would take about 15 hours or 20 hours.
Yeah.
Same thing today with a pen drive.
Today, fraction of second you can
Fraction of transfer. I think that's the evolution which has happened. I think this also evolved in the process.
Yeah.
Because more and more thousands of gurus are given so much of clarity.
We are in the high speed yuga.
High speed and with people like Sadhguruji and Vijayji, it has become very sharp. Only thing is, are we sharp enough to get it?
Yeah.
Is that question? That is the qualification, I think.
Yeah.
So
Keep
Deepaji,
the mumukshutva, Deepaji. We will land there.
And also, Deepaji, the way you asked the question will really take 12 years. The moment we think about it, again, we are coming here to unburden. Suddenly, the burden comes. You one more 12 years now. But what you said was so apt, Vijayji, when you said that nobody can give that to reference to me. I only can generate by asking what has happened over a period of time. Have I become more peaceful? Has agitation come down? What's happened? When you ask that question, you get a reference for yourself. And that is the key factor, I think. That's so nicely said. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So wonderful. Deepaji, does that bring clarity? Shall we continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, Arjunji.
So next one is what is duality and what is the effect of duality and what is the solution? Duality is nothing but the subject-object separation is a duality. And it can happen in various forms. The duality can happen in three aspects. One is like when I think that I'm the doer, I separate myself from me being the doer. And because when I'm a doer, that means I'm doing something where there's something out there. When I want to acquire something, I need to do something. So as nicely put it on by Prabhuji in the talk, he says that the finiteness is trying to take on the infinite or to get the infinite, which is not possible. So I can go on and for years together by looking at that. But here the key element of the doer is the separation of the subject and the object. And I as a subject want to experience the object outside, which is so infinitely difficult So because it's everything has to be experienced. And if I get one experience, I want to get to the next experience. If I've seen this place, I want to see the next place. So it goes on and on and on. And that is the key factor which makes me to get dissatisfied and stressed out in the whole process. That is the effect of duality, is the getting stressed and getting totally fatigued in the whole process. That's the effect of the duality. The solution is that to recognize or to understand or to get the right kind of knowledge or right kind of insights on the fact that, like, I am that, and that infinite being. And once I recognize that I am that infinite being, then that duality doesn't exist, and then then everything disappears in terms of whatever I was experiencing as a duality. So that is what I understand as this.
Very nice. But how did this duality come in the first place?
Duality, how did it come?
Or is it still real? Duality is still real.
Okay. The first thing is, how did the duality come in the first place? Now, that came in the first place because I have recognized myself with the body, mind, and intellect complex.
Hmm.
And that is a key source of duality.
Very nice. So the moment I get connected to my content of my mind,
Yeah.
I think I am that. So therefore, that is the beginning of duality.
Duality.
Because if I have to become something, then there has to be something. It's always in reference to something else.
Correct.
You cannot have something without reference to something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Sharonji, can you please repeat the question? Like, I just lost that question.
Yeah. So the duality is it still there? Is it real?
Yeah, whenever I recognize myself with the body, mind, and intellect, duality will exist. That will go ahead. So the thing is, I just have to get, for example, I'll tell you my recent experience, what happened. Yesterday, I went to a meeting at Bowring Institute. There are three people, and one was an MIT person, one was an IM, two IMs. They're all sitting in discussion. I was there in that meeting. And suddenly this thought came the fact that how much is like, how should I plan my retirement? And they're all in a zone where they earn money. So this person said, one person, that I have planned my retirement till 92 years. Then the question was, how do you know that you live till 92? And this went on, and the whole thing was like, I got so messed up in the whole process. I was okay in the morning when I listened to Brahma Stotravali Mala and all those stuff. I was very perfectly okay. The moment I went to the meeting, the whole thing. So at that time, I was in non-dual state. When I got up in the morning and I entered this whole domain of this group, I suddenly got messed up. And the only thing I did, Saranji, in the whole process, because this meeting was going on and on and on, and people are saying that I put it on Excel sheet. I know exactly. Then the question was, how do you got to know that 92 years is the way? What is the factual evidence? No, I have read the studies which have been given as per our kind of people. We live till 92. So this was going on. So I was caught up in the whole mess. And actually, it's a game. I may be in that one state, I may be out of the duality. The other state, I may sucked into the thing. The only thing I did was I closed my eyes in the whole process. In the very moment there, I closed my eyes. I just observed my breath. And suddenly, like in the Matrix movie, I was sucked into that Maya game and I was out of it. And now I'm witnessing the whole thing from over the above and recognizing. So I feel this whole thing about duality, it exists with the with the recognition what I have at that point of time. And the moment I recognize that it is there, I know. And what is the way it can recognize is, I feel tensed. Nowadays, how I recognize duality is, when I feel tensed, when I feel stressed, I am in duality. And the moment I close my eyes, start observing my breath, I am out of it. This is my experience living.
Wonderful. Very nice. So in reality, duality is like the cloud that comes and goes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And the beauty of this kind of program, this kind of study groups and association is earlier when it comes, it is I was just getting sucked into it. Today when it comes, I'm just going above it and observing. And so there's no intellectualization here.
Mm.
It's pure experience.
Mm. Very nice. Very nice. Any questions for Arjunji on the first 3 questions?
No, sir.
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay. So I just want to be cognizant of the time for the others. Should we continue? It's already 8:25. Should we continue or should we pause here?
This is a good time, Vijayji.
Good time to pause? Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Then Arjunji, so do you want to be able to, so there are 2 ways, we can continue this contemplation. So now, there are almost like totally 11 questions from day 1, right?
Mhm.
So you can vocalize your answer and you can record and you can send it in the group. And if anybody has any question or wants to add, they can also contribute. That is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is you can write your answers and you can send it in the group. Third is wait for the next session. What is your preference?
I would like to wait for next session, but subject to that others are okay with it, because they may have gone through this whole process and they would like to go for much more than what's already covered. So it depends upon how they would like to look at and see that what is the best thing.
I think better to go through it again, sir.
Excellent. Perfect.
Yeah, even I wanted to hear more of you, Arjunji. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you. And because what happens is, if I write and send, I feel that I may not get this kind of interaction, and where I get more and more clarity in the whole process. Because the way Saran came up with questions, it really helped me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for.
I was thinking, did I get into the ragging mode? Okay, thank you.
I think without realizing, you always do that, Saravanaji, even to me. And I
You
like
may know
it.
it,
He said it's a good thing.
It's
No.
good to
I
have.
wanted to actually go deep, but I was not sure. Vijayji was taking it very nicely, and but yeah, so maybe like mine didn't go that smooth, but you will get a lot more questions from Vijayji.
No, like it's amazing. It's amazing. I love this. See, ultimately, when you are doing that, it's for me to recognize whether I'm getting agitated.
Yeah.
If I'm getting agitated, that means I'm getting in duality now.
Yeah.
So it's good that you do that to me, and also admit that I got agitated. But
Very good technique to identify if I'm in duality or not.
Padmaji, like the moment I recognized, I closed my eyes, I said, okay, then it calmed down. And it's good, na?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So this is how Mandana Mishra's wife caught Mandana Mishra and said, you have lost it to Shankaracharya. You know that story, right? She put 2 garlands, and Mandana Mishra's garland started becoming dry. Very nice, very nice.
The reason I wanted to go that path is It is about the vessel, the cleanliness of the vessel that decides how good the milk you are going to take in that is going to be. So here, the vessel is our state. The qualification decides how well we can actually receive the jnana. Actually, even I didn't have all these answers when I joined. So only the time my starting point was I was also going through disturbance or like trying to figure out what am I doing, and then it led to there should be some purpose to the life. It cannot be because none of these are giving me that satisfaction even when I right. So which drove me towards this. Okay, and I did not have this qualification to come here. Or if somebody would have said, "Oh, do you have this? Okay, please stay there, and then like we will consider you after some time. You please go to the kindergarten and get ready and come." Right. So over a period of time, in the last 3 years, I learned that okay, the reason why they say is the knowledge we are getting is about the self. It is not about something else. Or a physics or chemistry or math. A PhD, irrespective of the quality of the individual can get a still PhD in math. But here, the quality of the individual basically decides what is the knowledge he is getting, because the knowledge itself is about the self, not about something else like the Apara Vidya, right? So here it is like the knowledge. So that's why I was going towards it. I wanted to have some discussion actually.
And no, one more thing, two things I'd like to give 1 minute input. One is when you said that the fact that we are here, I think it is not that we came here, the Guru appeared because we are ready. Now the Guru has appeared for us. That is the thing which I consider. Second thing is the vessel thing is so nice. If the vessel is not having clean, if I put milk in it, it will just get spoiled. And these kind of interactions will only clean the vessel more and more. So the milk which I get can be stored in intact form.
Very nice. Very nice. Padmaji, would you lead us to the ending prayers?
Yes, sir. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from untruth to truth, darkness to light, impermanence to permanence. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, Purnamadah, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is complete. This is complete. From completeness comes completeness. Completeness. When completeness is removed from completeness, what remains is complete. Om, peace, peace, peace. Nanu, nanenbadu nanalla, ideha manabuddhi nanalla, sachidanandatma, shivananu nane, shivoham, shivoham, shivoham. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am Satchit Ananda Swarupi Shiva. Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyadarshanam. Recognition of the self is recognition of the whole. Recognition of the whole is recognition of truth. ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्. We worship the three-eyed one, who is fragrant and who nourishes all. Like the fruit falls off from the bondage of the stem, may we be liberated from death, from mortality. Lokaah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokaah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokaah samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, peaceful. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Thank you very much, Padmaji. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Next
Hari
Sunday.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari
Thank you,
Om,
everyone.
sir.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om. Hari Om.